Well, hey everybody, it's Sandy, and welcome back to my channel dedicated to helping you advocate for your own health, one topic at a time. So, guys, forgive me, I'm using the phone today, and I've said before, I really want to get comfortable using the phone to do this. I seem to spend a lot more time editing than, it's more time than I'm really getting a return on. So, I'm going to really try hard to get comfortable with this without, being really annoying to my viewers. So, here goes. I might even try to do a live video at some point if I get up the gumption to do that, the nerve, I should say. So today I just want to talk about these boosters. I was so happy to see that the CDC approved the Pfizer booster. They did delineate like who's eligible right now, and it certainly isn't everybody, but I was really happy that they have some language in there that makes very clear that they want people to have the latitude so that you can have a discussion with your own provider. Maybe you're in a gray area. Maybe you have some particular condition that isn't really covered. The ones that they mention, it's not maybe an immunosuppression issue, but it's something else. And, in consultation with your provider, there's a decision made that you would benefit from this booster. It was different when we didn't have enough vaccine, but we've got plenty of vaccines around now. So I was really happy that the CDC left that, they crafted their language that way. I've really got a few more questions than answers, I think. So I'm going to take a moment here to plug the Sandy's DIY Health Advocacy Facebook group. So my channel does have a Facebook page. You can head on over there and you can ask to join the Facebook group. It's really a great group where people post all kinds of things. Sometimes they discuss news issues or, opinion pieces. And sometimes people put up a dilemma that they're having or something where, they're trying to figure out a good solution, and people really put their heads together and they're just really helpful to each other. And I'm really happy about the way that group is growing. So, certainly YouTube does have the comment section, and I love to see when people put things in the comment section. By the way, I do try to answer all the comments. I don't always get an alert when I've got one. So sometimes I don't know one is there, but I really try to get through them all. But still, YouTube is sort of more one way. It's not as much a conversation as the Facebook group is. So, either way, but I've got some more questions, I think, than answers when it comes to the Pfizer boosters, because I'm really interested in who's getting them and why. And we did start a little conversation about this in the Facebook group last week, and I was actually asking about Moderna, and I was surprised. I heard from a lot of people who had an issue that maybe isn't something that's clearly delineated again in the language of who can have these things, who's eligible right now. But, people had various conversations with their healthcare providers and probably with themselves and their friends and family, and decided to go ahead and get boosted. And up until now, at least, I've seen that, people haven't really had a lot of trouble, at least in my area. And from what I'm reading in the Facebook group page, people haven't really had a lot of trouble or a lot of scrutiny, going into a pharmacy if they don't meet the eligibility requirements that are clearly delineated. They really haven't had to jump through hoops to go ahead and get the booster. So I think that's great. I'm all for latitude. I think too many rules become just very confining and don't allow for enough of the individual tailoring. We have plenty of vaccines at this point, so I don't see why not. So I'm really interested in hearing which of you have already had a booster with Pfizer, or now that it's out on the market and called a third shot, and now that people are eligible for it, who's getting it. If I had gotten Pfizer, I got Moderna for my initial 2-part series, and I'm glad that I got Moderna. It seems to have held out well. It could have easily gone the other way, but at least when it came to Delta, and that's, most of what we have, probably close to all of what we have circulating around now in the way of COVID. In my area, there was a huge surge over the summer. That's finally coming down. Our healthcare system had really ground to a complete halt. And fortunately, for those of us who had Moderna, it held up better against Delta than Pfizer happened to. So if I had had the 2-part series Pfizer, I would definitely be going out there and I would be getting that booster. Again, I'm not giving any individual medical advice on this channel, and nothing that I say should be deemed as a substitute for the advice of your own qualified practitioner, but I would definitely talk to my practitioner about that. Even if I didn't fit into the guidelines that are there right now and clearly delineated, I would speak to my own provider about whether I should be getting that booster with Pfizer. People have also talked about, oh, I've had Pfizer, maybe should I get Moderna now? And I think that's gone on, but there's no data on it, of course, because that hasn't been studied. It's not going to be recommended unless and until it's been studied. It would be interesting. I'm just as interested in the next person in hearing about that. But it's really nothing to say about it in terms of what to do, because there's no really clear guidance on mixing and matching. There's some studies going on right now. I know of one that's underway looking at giving a J&J boost to people who have had Pfizer and different doses of J&J, and that might actually be a really good option, because not only did J&J actually did a little bit better with Delta than Pfizer did, but they're also two different platforms. So you've got a messenger RNA vaccine, and then J&J is a vector vaccine. So you're mixing the platforms, and I think that's going to prove to be very helpful. But we're going to have to wait and see when that study is done. So that's underway. And there's actually a clinical trial for that going on in my area. So I had Moderna. Now Moderna is going to have a couple of hiccups. I think likely their booster is going to be approved and recommended, probably with very similar guidelines that we're seeing with Pfizer. I wonder if they're going to be a little more restrictive with Moderna, though, just because it's holding out a little bit better than Pfizer in terms of the infection with breakthrough. I don't think it's that much different in terms of hospitalization or severe illness. Maybe it's a little with Delta, but not much. I think that one of the hiccups they're going to have is that their booster with Moderna is 50% of the dose of the regular two-part series. And I think the good thing about that is I think that will bring to light that there is a difference between a booster and a third shot, because we're kind of using those terms interchangeably. But I think that for some people, we're going to find that the 3-shot series is the original series. Some people need 3 shots to get the kind of immunity that most of us will get from 2. So elderly people who are immune compromised, they need more boosting in order to get, see, I've used the word boost now, they'll need the added shot in order to get the same response that people who don't have those conditions have, because the immune system is suppressed. And even with advanced age, I think there is an argument that you're kind of relatively immunosuppressed if you are of advanced age, because your immune system is not functioning the same. It's not as robust as in a younger person. So I think that's actually an argument to go ahead and get a boost anyway. But I think that the problem is going to come in where, I think people are going to have to keep track of, first of all, where, like, there's going to be a distribution issue. Are the same pharmacies going to be dispensing a third shot versus a booster shot with Moderna? Are some people going to get the full dose versus the half dose by mistake? When they wanted one, they're going to get the other. I don't know if it's going to make that much difference. I do think that maybe one of the nice things about the half dose is that, Moderna, given that it was such a high dose of messenger RNA, it was more than 3 times the Pfizer dose. I think that at some point you'll start seeing a lot more reactogenicity, and there's how much benefit are you getting back for that. So I think maybe the lower dose will cut down on the reactogenicity a bit. So I think that's a nice thing for people who are getting boosted. I think it's going to be really important to have clear instruction, like, for example, if you require a third shot because you're immunosuppressed, so you're going to get 3 full doses of Moderna, then you should not boost, at least until such time as we learn more. So I think there's going to be a lot of things to hash out just because they've come out with a booster shot that's half the dose of their regular. I think it's just easier and cleaner the way Pfizer has done it, where it's the same dose, it's exactly the same shot. But I think that's fine. I think there might be some really good things about it, and we're just going to have to see how that shakes out. I'm looking forward to Moderna getting approved for its booster dose, because I've been on the fence. I have some autoimmune disease, so I have been on the fence about it. One of my doctors told me I should just go ahead and get the third shot. I'm tempted, but now I know we're just a few weeks away from hearing the discussion about approving the booster. So I'm, in the next few weeks, able to pretty much be home, and nothing's really going to change for me that much in terms of risk, unless something goes, as not planned. But for right now, I'm waiting patiently for just a few weeks. I am looking forward to getting boosted at some point, though, one way or the other. Yeah, so I guess I've got, like I said, a lot more questions than answers here. I'm happy to see this stuff is out there. I'm really wondering whether you guys are doing it now, whether it's really changed anything. I mean, some people they were doing it already anyway, and they really weren't waiting for the government to tell them. I'm fine with that, as long as it's a slow, I shouldn't say slow, as long as it's a carefully considered discussion that takes place with your qualified practitioner. I'm totally fine with that. But I am interested in hearing what you guys have done. So please be prolific in the writing, either here or in the Facebook page, because I think that the more people are willing to share their experiences with any given thing, not just with booster shots, but with anything, then other people can learn from those experiences and help make good decisions for themselves too. They can, might not be what decides things for them, but it can inform the decision. And I think that's always really helpful. So let me know if you guys have any thoughts about that, opinions, feelings, reactions. I'm pretty interested in whether there's more or less reactivity after this boost. And until next time, be well. Bye-bye.